Hey guys, welcome back. So, got off work early today. Luckily, I had a doodle cancel on me. I say luckily because I was using my Wall Bravura this morning, which if you watch my haircut videos, you'll see that that is like my main clipper that I use for almost everything. This was like a smaller doodle because I do have my Pulse ZR2 that I use on like big doodles. But anyway, my Bravura just like died on me this morning. I noticed it was like kind of like moving slower. It wasn't really going through the hair. I could hear it wasn't like as powerful as normal, and then it just like died. And I plugged it in and left it for like 20-30 minutes and then tried to use it again because I was literally in the middle of grooming when this happened. I had 3 dogs. I just finished one. I was like halfway through the second one when it died. So anyway, I let it charge for a few minutes, switched to my Pulse CR2, was kind of doing that, and then I grabbed it again, hoping that I had charged enough that I could just use it because I had it on the cord. Nope. It never did charge. It just kept dying on me. I don't know. It's just really weird. I have a video. I'll attach it right here. But, like, as you can see, there's just, like, it just slowly, like, died. When I left today, I noticed it was charging, so I'm hoping it will come back, but I also ordered the Andis Pulse Li5 clipper because I actually had it on my list for Hershey. I was going to buy it in like 2 weeks, but I don't really have that time to wait because if I get there and my Bravura is not working tomorrow, I'm going to be like, crap. So anyway, I ordered another clipper, but that's not what this video is about. I just had to rant about that for a second because, I don't know. You guys know how it is if you ever had a clipper die on you in the middle of the day and you're like, crap. Like, I had been wanting to buy the Li5 to have as, like, a backup, and I also wanted to do a video comparing the Bravura and the Li5. So hopefully I'll still be able to do that. I'm hoping, because like I said, when I left, it looked like it was charging. I'm hoping when I get there tomorrow, it'll come back to life so I can do this comparison. But I might need to get another Bravura too eventually. I don't know. They just sent me those new blades. For if you guys watched my last videos, there was like some issues with the Wall Bravura blades that they're trying to figure out right now. But they literally just sent me my blades. I haven't even opened them yet. My Bravura dies this morning. So anyway, that's why I said I got lucky that doodle canceled, because being down a clipper is not a fun time. So anyway, let's get into the video. Today, I want to talk about styling tools and what they do. This is really going to just benefit like the newer groomers. If you're established, you probably know all of this anyway. Okay, yeah, here it is. I have my handy dandy notebook as per usual. This just helps me to stay on track while I'm doing videos, because if I just try to spout it off from memory, I usually, while I'm editing the video, I think of other things that I wanted to say, and then I forgot to say, and then I'm like, crap, now I've got to do it in another video. Anyway, so, children, we're going to flip in our Cosmetology Fundamentals book. This is the book I got in hair school, in case you didn't see my last video where I used this. And I'm using some of the stuff that was in this book, plus some of my own grooming knowledge to talk about some tools today. So we're going to flip to, I should have had this all ready to go, but you know what, I literally just thought to myself, hey, why don't you make a video? So I really wasn't prepared. I had these notes pre-written, so I knew I was going to make this video soon, but anyway, I didn't get set up before this video started. So today we are talking about sculpting tools. So there are different types of tools that you can use. There's your shears, which, in your shears, there's curves, straights, chunkers. Oh no, sorry. That's a different thing. Okay, so the type of shears, like straight shears, that's just a straight blade. There's curves and straights, and there's also a swivel thumb. Swivel thumb, that can be in any shear. Now, Fresh Grooming told me that they don't typically make, like, they didn't want to do a swivel thumb, like something about the balance of the shear. They messaged me because they know I love a swivel thumb. So anyway, I was messaging them. I was like, I'm just saying, if you want to make me a swivel thumb thinner, like 6-inch, I would be so excited. And they said they'd have to look into it. But anyway, so you can, but if you go to like, I have some shears from Evolution and they have chunkers and stuff in swivel thumb. That really doesn't matter. That had nothing to do with anything. I'm just talking about swivel thumb because I like swivel thumb. That's all it is. Okay. So anyway, you got your shears, right? And then you got your thinning shears, you got your chunkers, and then you have your stripping knives for hand stripping. Look, I fell this weekend, you guys. It was a hard time. So if you see that, that's what happened. I fell onto like an air compressor. I caught myself, but anyway. So anyway, then you've got, like I said, stripping knives, and then you have your clippers, and then just your basic combs. And then with the clippers, there's the attachment combs or the guards that go in the clipper. But that's different than like, I'm talking like a regular comb. That is a tool. Okay. So first things first, shears. Let's start with shears. The reason I wanted to use this little book is because it shows you right here, that's what your hair is going to look like after you cut it. So I like that it shows you at the end of the hair. So this is what you need to picture when you're doing the hair, when you're using a straight shear. Okay, so there's, like I said, there's 3 main types of shears. There's the curved shears, and some companies have super curves. I've never tried a super curve personally. I'm just telling you, they're out there. So there's curved shears, which are good for round areas like the feet, the head, the ears, all that. I love them for the ears. I like them for the feet. I know a lot of people use them for the head. I like chunkers and thinners for the head because they're a little bit safer. We'll go into that in a minute. And then there's straight shears, which is just like your average run-of-the-mill straight scissor. And I'm going to be attaching videos and stuff. So hopefully, because I can't think, I meant to do videos of all of these little things, but I also have some videos because I do Instagram every day. Anyway, all right. So straight shears are just good for straight areas like, you know, like I said, the legs. Some people like a straight across beard. So if that's your thing, then they're good for that. Different things. If you do their ears straight, I do their ears kind of like at a curve, if that makes sense. So, but if you do like the straight across ears, you could use straights for that. I never use straights. That's why I'm like trying to sit here and come up with like things you could use them for, but I don't use straights for anything. I'm just being honest. And then you've got your swivel thumbs, and what a swivel thumb is, I'm going to kind of move over so that I can put the video right here. Basically, it's more ergonomically correct. Ergonomics is like the study of, I'm going to say it wrong, but essentially it means to take care of your body. So if we're talking about ergonomics, that means that it's like the best, like having good posture and like, you know, taking care of your body. So ergonomically correct with your hand is just like how you're holding it. It's going to move with your hand rather than making your hand contort into weird ways to hold the shear, if that makes sense. It's going to be more relaxing, more natural on your hand. So it just helps to, it doesn't avoid carpal tunnel completely, but it's supposed to help to, you know, help your hands. Anyway, but the downside with the swivel thumb, because I'm going to go there because they're my favorite, but I need to be honest, they're heavier than most shears because it has like this whole design on there. So they're heavier, and when you first switch to a swivel thumb, they're kind of weird to hold. It took me a haircut or two to like really get comfortable with it. So anyway, keep that in mind. So our next thing is thinning shears. These are going to give you a softer finished, a highly texturized finished. And there's different types. There's the average run-of-the-mill, well, in this book they call them taper shears, but I call them thinning shears because that's what we call them in the groom world. So this is what your hair is going to look like, okay? There's your tapered shear. So you see there's like one blade that doesn't have teeth and one blade that does. This is the finish you're going to get, or something along that. And then there's also the double edge thinners, which is what I personally use. I really like them. I bought mine from Fresh Grooming. I'm just saying. You guys know I like Fresh Grooming. Just saying. But anyway, the double edge is going to take out a good amount of hair. So kind of be prepared for that, but it leaves you this like really nice, soft, smooth finish. I like the double edge because it doesn't like, you know, like a lot of times we'll snip and pull. Like the double edge shear, they don't catch when you're pulling out. Whereas some, you know, you feel a little resistance. It doesn't like slide out really nicely. double edge doesn't have that problem, so that's why I use that. Anyway, so there's that, the thinning shears, and then we have our chunkers. The teeth are spaced further apart, which means they're going to take out less hair at one time, but they give you a chunkier look. So basically the rule of thumb is the closer the teeth are, or when you're thinking just a straight blade, that's going to take out the most hair, because like there's two straight blades touching each other. When you have thinning shears that have like 30, 40 teeth, they're going to take out almost as much as a straight shear, but not quite as much. Okay, so there's more teeth, so they'll take out more than a chunker, but not as much as a straight shear, if that makes sense. So they're going to be kind of your in-between. Your thinners are going to be in between your shear and your chunkers. So anyway, the chunkers take out minimal hair. They leave you with like I said, I don't want to say chunkier finish, but you know what I mean? Like, you can kind of see it, though. You can see where their little teeth are. So that's why it's nice to finish up with, like, a straight or a thinning shear. I prefer to finish with a thinning shear because the straights still leave too harsh of lines for me. I like everything really blended, so that's why I like using the thinning shear. But with the chunkers, there's all different teeth amounts. Each tooth is going to give you a different effect at the end. I'm trying to think. Honestly, a lot of groomers use chunkers. Like, I like using them as like a safety blanket. What I usually do is like I'll go in with the chunkers and just kind of like get the head how I want it to look, and then I finish it up with the thinners, like do the fine tuning with the thinners. That's what I like to do personally. And then I left myself a note. Do you ever leave yourself a note for things and then you forget? Like you weren't specific enough in the note, and then you go back and read it and you're like, what did that mean? So anyway, next thing, I don't think I even said. So the next thing on the list is the stripping knife. The stripping knife is meant to remove dead undercoat. This is what people use when they are hand stripping. Unfortunately, I don't have any videos of me hand stripping because I don't do that yet, but I am signed up to learn how to hand strip while I am in Hershey. So give it 2-3 more weeks and I will be the hand stripper of the world, okay? That's a joke. I'm not going to be the best hand stripper in the world. Okay, that's a joke. Anyway, so like I said, stripping knife, stay tuned. I will hopefully be doing some videos hand stripping, and maybe I can do like a how-to video for people that want to learn that haven't been able to go take a class. Anyway, and then the next thing that we have are our clippers and trimmers. This is where I left my note. It said, I left my note that said show a diagram / video. Is it? Let me find it. Aha! Okay. Let me show you these other pictures before we move on. Sorry, this is a little all over the place. Like I said, this was a very spur of the moment thing, even though I had thought in advance about doing this. We need to go back to shears for a second. Okay, I apologize. This is your diagram of your shears. So this would have been much better to show you than the other picture, by the way. Oh, and there's some more. So see, there's your thinners. You can see how much that's taking out versus your this is a 16 tooth chunker, and this is that you notice it says taper. That's because this is a human hair book. We don't call them chunkers in human hair. Anyway, so then you can see this is the 8 tooth, 16 tooth, and 32 tooth. So you can kind of see what that does to the hair. It's weird because like it makes it look like the ones like the chunkers are taking out more, but it's completely logical that the thinners would take out the most. Even explained in this book, but it, like, in the pictures makes it look like the chunkers. Anyway, but let's talk about the different parts of the blade. So we've got this blade here is our movable blade. this blade, wait, did I say that right? Yeah, and then it says, you see how it says still notched blade? That means this is the blade that's not going to be moving. Am I right? No, it's pointing to the wrong one. It says movable and still. But if you hold it right, then this one would be the movable and that one would be the still. So I don't know. That's a little confusing. I don't know, cosmetology book. You're making me look bad. Anyway, and then you've got your tension screw. That's how you are going to tighten and loosen your shears if need be. You've got your shank, thumb grip, and finger grip. And then that's your little balance. That's where your little pinky goes on the end there, okay? So anyway, that's the little diagram of shears. Now, I also have one for the clippers, but the thing is, our clippers are a little bit different than the human hair, so there's going to be a couple differences here. So you can see it says adjustable and movable blade. Now, we don't have an immovable blade. You see on human hair clippers that they have this little lever. They can actually, kind of like our Braveras, you know, where you can like move the blade up. That's kind of the same concept. In human hair, you can do a straight, like where the teeth are perfectly in line, and then you can kind of like move it up like this, you know, so that would be, they have like a half, and then like you can move it halfway, and then you can move it all the way. Not that anybody cares, because you're not doing that in dog world anyway, but I'm just telling you, if you ever pick up a human hair clippers, that's what it is. You can move that blade up, and what people will do is they'll, if you're trying to do a fade, for example, they'll do the blade like halfway, and then like all the way, and that kind of helps it blend a little better. Again, this doesn't matter for dog hair because we can't do that anyway. Wouldn't it be nice though? But in human hair, I'll tell you what the downside is. You can't just pop off the blades as easy. Now there are Oster clippers you can pop off, but I don't think it's as easy. Like I think you have to unscrew it. I don't know. So dog hair clippers are a little bit different. You can just pop that blade off really easy. So I guess we don't really need that adjustable blade as much. But anyway, you still have, you know, your blade, your on-off switch, clearly, and then your hinge and your electrical cord. I think dog clippers still have a hinge. Anyway, the hinge doesn't usually do anything anyway. But yeah, so, oh, and then, so this is talking about how to hold your clippers. It says one way to hold the clippers is to position your palm over them and position your thumb to the side. And that's what that looks like. That's not typically how I hold mine, I don't think. No, I kind of go under. It says another way to hold your clippers is to position your thumb on top of them and positioning your remaining fingers underneath. I think that's more how I hold mine, something like that. And it kind of changes to like, again, this is like for human heads, so it's going to be a little bit different. We're kind of moving our clippers all over the place because we're trying to do like an animal's whole body. So anyway, there's that. Oh, and I touched earlier on the attachment combs or the guard combs. Those are what you put on your clipper to do different lengths of hair. Now, if you are a new groomer or a pet parent that wants to learn more about this, just keep in mind if you have one of those guard blades on, if there's matting in the hair, your blades are not going to go through. So if you're trying to use a clipper and you've got your guard on and it's just catching, that probably means you've got matting. So keep that in mind. You may need to get a shave down if that's the case. So the attachment combs, those are meant for dematted clean hair. Well, I don't know. You know, I saw a groomer using them on a dirty dog the other day, and I was like baffled. Anyway, because I always just like, if I'm going to do a comb cut, I always just bathe it first. Anyway, everybody's different. That's the cool thing about grooming, though. We can all do things differently. And then if you have broken teeth on your clipper blades, it is time to replace, because that little gap, that little notch, first of all, is going to give you an uneven haircut. Second of all, it can nick your dog. You don't want that. Okay, so if your teeth break, it sucks, but you're going to have to get a new blade. I'm just telling you, I'm just being honest. I know some groomers will still just throw a guard on it and call it a day. I have one. I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't do that, because I've definitely done that. I have a 30 blade right now that has a chipped tooth that I still will throw a guard on, but just be careful. And I actually, am trying to be more aware, and I haven't been using that 30 blade. I actually need to pick up another 30 blade while I'm at Hershey, because that's what I use on my Pulse CR2. Whenever I'm clipping, I use a 30 blade under my guard comb. Anyway, so if your teeth break, you have to bite the bullet and get a new one, because yeah, it'll nick your dog, and you don't want that. You don't want to hurt your dog. So anyway, there's that. And then there's your trimmers. That's going to be your Breviras, your Pulse LIs, all of that stuff. And your little smaller, like, so you got your big clipper, and then you got your little trimmer. The trimmers are typically meant for, like, fine detailing kind of thing. I like doing mine for poodle face, feet, sanitary, all that stuff. But on little dogs, I do use it for the whole body because it's small and it's just like easier to use. That's just my preference. You can use a big clipper on a little dog if you want. I just find that they seem to respond a little bit better to the smaller trimmer. It's not as loud, it's not as heavy. So anyway, there's that. And then our last styling tool is our combs. So there's different shapes and sizes. We have just like our regular run-of-the-mill combs, and we have finishing combs, which are meant to be used after the dog has been brushed out fully. So if you have a comb that says it's a finishing comb, usually that means don't use it on a matted dog because you can bend your teeth. Typically finishing combs, like, they may give you like a really nice finish or whatever, but just from my experience, it seems like they're not as sturdy as like some of the other combs that are like made for like brushing out mats and stuff. So anyway, there's different types, and then there's like the Utsumi, like the half moon comb. A lot of people like that for like Asian fusion faces. And there's different sizes and stuff too. Like if I'm working on a big dog, I might use a 10-inch comb. Whereas if I'm working on a little dog, I may use a 6 or 7-inch comb, you know? So there's all different combs. They're all, you know, like I said, they're all a little bit different. I like the ones, I have one that has the teeth really far apart. That one's really nice if I'm brushing out a dog like Luna, like a double-coated dog. I like that one. Or even a doodle. That one's really nice. I've heard a lot of people like that for poodles. I don't have a lot of poodles that I groom, if we're being honest. But anyway, there's different combs for different things. I don't see. Okay, here's where I'm at with this video. I wasn't sure if I wanted to talk about brands that I use. I didn't want anybody to feel like I'm like trying to shove something down your throat, but also I do get asked about the stuff that I use. So I guess we'll just like run through real quick. As far as shears go, the companies I really love Fresh Grooming. You guys know I'm an ambassador through them. They're awesome. They're a local business for me. They're based out of Greenville, South Carolina. They came from human hair, and now they're in dog grooming, which is just like me, so I think that's really awesome. They do a lot of really great things, and their shears are really affordable, but they're good quality. So that's kind of hard to find. Finding a decent shear for $100 is kind of difficult, at least from what I've experienced. I've bought a lot of shears that were like lower end, and they didn't really perform very well. Like, they performed how you expected, but Fresh Grooming, like $100, and these shears, like, to me, like, I would pay more for them because they're just good quality, you know? So anyway, I really like them. I like Geeb shears. Evolution has really awesome stuff. Evolution's really expensive though. Geeb is kind of like, they have some things that are less expensive than some things that are more expensive, so they're kind of cool. They're a little bit, you know, you can kind of pick what you want. If you want the really expensive ones, you can get those, or they have some that are more affordable as well. So Geeb makes really good stuff. And then, I mean, there's brands like Utsumi and stuff like that. I would really love to have Utsumi shears or Kenchi. I have a pair of Kenchi thinners. I think I got some, like, because they're, Kenchi I think is kind of like Geeb, that they have some that are like lower end and some that are really high end. I think the ones I got maybe were like mid-range. They didn't really like blow me out of the water, but they were like nice. I don't know. I have the Kenchi Scorpion thinners. They're pretty decent, I guess. I don't know. Like I said, they didn't blow me away. That's why I liked Fresh Grooming, because to me, my Fresh Grooming shears are nicer than my Kenchi shears, and I think that my Fresh Grooming shears were cheaper. So that's why I really like them. But anyway, Kenchi, there's Utsumi. Utsumi's really high end. I don't own anything from Utsumi other than that half moon comb. And that half moon comb is like $90 or $80 or something crazy. And it's like a 6-inch comb. And you're like when I got it, I was like, really? Like that is what I just paid all this money for? But I do love it. I use it all day. But I'm just saying, it's like this tiny ass comb and it's so expensive. So anyway, I don't have a lot of Utsumi stuff. I always hear good things about them. So that's another brand I'd recommend. So any of those companies, like I said, Fresh Grooming, Geeb, Kenchi, Evolution, or like Utsumi, those are all really good brands. Stripping knives, like I said, I don't hand strip yet, so I can't say on that one. Clippers and trimmers, I've tried a little bit of stuff from Andis, a little bit of stuff from Wall. I would say they're pretty neck and neck. Yeah, I'd say they're pretty neck and neck. I'm going to be doing that review coming up, comparing that Pulse Li5 to the Bravura and kind of see how that goes. And then I eventually want to get the Wall KM cordless clipper and compare that to my Pulse ZR2 from Andis, but to me they all seem about the same. I don't know. I think it's all preference on that one, but I use both companies. I haven't tried anything from Oster in the dog grooming world, but I know Oster is really good in the human grooming world, but I don't know a lot of groomers that use any Oster stuff, so I don't know about that one. But anyway, yeah, so, and then combs, like, Chris Christensen has really good combs, Utsumi has good combs, Andis has, like, I like Andis's, like, regular combs just for, like, if I'm brushing out and, like, dematting a dog, I'll, like, demat it and then comb it through with one of those, you know? I really like those. So anyway, that's some stuff that, like, I would recommend. So if you're kind of like, I don't know what to buy, like, there's a lot of stuff out there. It's really all about preference. I always tell people when they're shopping to try to shop at the trade shows if you can, because you can actually try it in person. That's really the biggest downside for me about the dog world versus, like, human world is, like, there are shops like Cosmoprof and Salon Centric or whatever. So if I had had my human hair clipper die on me today, I could have just ran to a store and grabbed another one. But dog grooming, we don't have stores like that. I've heard maybe there, like, are some out there, but I don't have one near me, I can tell you that much. So that's the hard part, is because, like, a lot of this stuff is, like, all sales final, and then you, like, don't even really get to try it in person. So that's why I recommend the trade shows if you can go. But yeah, so the next thing I want to talk about, we talked about the tools. Yeah, we're going to talk about techniques too, because I thought to myself just now, I was like, should I make this a separate video? But I really don't have that many notes. So first thing are your design lines or guidelines. So that means when you go in with your clipper or your scissors or whatever and you cut, like, we'll use ears as an example, okay? So we're holding the shear up, we cut, then we lay the shear down. That piece of hair that we cut, that's our guideline. We're going to call it a guideline. So, but they can be called design lines too. So there's two different types of guidelines. There's the stationary guideline. So that's if I was bringing everything to one point. Like if, say, I was brushing all the hair forward and cutting right here. So I brush forward, cut, brush forward, cut. That's a stationary line, right? Because it's all coming to the same spot. Then there are movable guidelines. So I was talking about this ear cut, right? So that's my guideline here, and no, that's not a good example. Movable is it moves with you, okay? So say you were doing the hair on the top of the head and you cut this piece, right? And you're like, okay, now I want to use that as a guide, and you brush it up and are carrying it back with you, that's a movable guideline. So every time you brush up and cut, it's still a guideline because you can see how long you want the hair, but it's moving with you, if that makes sense. So like I said, those are the two types, the stationary and mobile guideline. Yeah, okay. And then we have cross-checking. So that just means if you're scissoring down, then yeah, then you can comb back up. That's kind of cross-checking. That's like, and then like going horizontal and vertical, like kind of going backwards and like doing the opposite of what you just did. Like, so yeah, that's a good example. So if you're clippering down or combing or scissoring down, right? And then you're going to comb it back up, that's kind of cross checking it. And then another thing I like to do for the ears, I'll get the ears. You can kind of stand back flat footed and just kind of like, I usually just kind of look straight and then I just like feel, and then I can usually kind of tell like how long. It's kind of hard to show with my hair rather than the ears, but you'll kind of be like, and then you can kind of feel, and you'll feel if it's a little bit too long on the one side. So that's another way of cross checking. And then there's some different texturizing techniques. One of them is notching. So you would brush up and you can kind of like come in at an angle. So you could do this on like a top knot. If you wanted, instead of just doing a blunt line across the top, you can kind of like cut down into it. And, sorry, I'm trying to finish this up quick. I just saw my boyfriend get home. But you can kind of like cut down into it, and that will give you a more diffuse line rather than your just like harsh line at the top. And there's also end texturizing. That's what we do when we take the thinners to finish up and just do like a little bit just on the ends of the hair. That's end texturizing. And then we have shear over comb and clipper over comb. That's when you take your comb and you're combing up and you go over it with your clippers or your thinners. And then the last thing really quick to be aware of is your growth patterns. So you want to know kind of which way the hair is going to grow. So you want to be following the growth patterns whenever you're clippering. If you're going all over the place, that's when you're going to have pieces that are just like not laying right. So I like to kind of comb the hair in the growth pattern and then just kind of go from there. So just be aware of that too, because dogs all have really weird growth patterns. I've noticed like a lot of times on their heads, they'll have really weird spots, but they can have it throughout their body too. So just be aware. But anyway, I'm going to jump off here. Like I said, I just heard my boyfriend get home and now I'm kind of a little distracted. So this video is a little bit all over the place. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that this was helpful. Like I said, we just kind of talked about some different tools, what they're used for, brand recommendations, all of that stuff. But yeah, I hope that this helped you guys learn a little bit more about your sculpting tools. And yeah, hopefully this was helpful to you guys. I appreciate you guys watching as always, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!